Konnichiwa, Japan fans. On today's show, we're going to be talking about pitching. Eigo desu. それでは行きましょう. So let's get going. This is the 5th year of the Sales Japan Series podcast, broadcasting around the world from the Beverly Hills of Japan, Minato-ku, here in downtown Tokyo. It is chic central. I'm your host, Dr. Greg Story, Dale Carnegie Tokyo franchise owner, the president of Dale Carnegie Tokyo Training, and the 3-time best-selling author of Japan Sales Mastery, which is Zaegyo in Japanese, Japan Business Mastery, and Japan Presentations Mastery. My new book, Stop Wasting Money on Training, in Japanese, Training de okane o muda ni suru no wa yamemashou, is now available on Amazon. In this podcast, I want to help you to survive and even better, thrive in business. Don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast with your family, friends, and colleagues. We are not being sponsored by Libsyn, but we value your privacy, which is why we have our podcast hosted by Libsyn, who, unlike many other podcast hosts, have a strict policy that does not allow access to your private information by anyone. Here is our daily podcast lineup on iTunes. Mondays, the Cutting Edge Japan Business Show. Tuesdays, the Presentation Japan Series. Every second Tuesday, the Business Tatsujin no Oshie Show. Wednesdays, the Sales Japan Series. Thursdays, the Leadership Japan Series. And every second Thursday, the Business Pro Podcast Show. Fridays, the Japan Business Mastery Show. And Saturdays, Japan's top business interviews. Now, this is episode number 309. Today, we are talking about pitching preferred in the Japanese sales call. In modern economies, asking the buyer questions to understand their needs would be considered the most basic of the basic skills of a salesperson. This isn't happening as much as you would expect in Japan, the world's third largest economy. Most salespeople everywhere are untrained and are left to work it out for themselves. Japan has what they call OJT, on-the-job training, as the main teaching method. In this busy boss life, that is now reduced down to taking the new salesperson with them on a couple of sales calls, and then the salesperson is on their own. If your boss is an ace salesperson, this sounds reasonable, if only that were the case. From our real-world research across the classes we run teaching sales to Japanese employees, and my own buyer experiences, it is obvious the skill set to ask the buyer questions hasn't been well developed. Pitching the features is the mainstream technique. That lazy shotgun approach makes little sense though. So why aren't Japanese salespeople asking the buyer questions to be able to zero in on their needs? Here are 6 reasons why Japanese salespeople prefer to pitch. Number 1. The buyer is not king in Japan, but God. God doesn't tolerate pesky salespeople asking questions, so the pitch seems safer. In Japan, relatively low-ranking people in very large organizations are treated as superior by the presidents of much smaller firms. Social hierarchy is very defined here by both the size of the company and the rank of the individual. That is why business cards are so predominant. You need to work out the stranger's rank to know how to deal with them. The buyer always outranks the seller. The salesperson's role is to pitch their offer. The buyer's role is to shred it in order to eliminate all risk. No questions booked by God in the sale. Therefore, salespeople are in no social position to be asking anything of the buyer God. Number 2, don't embarrass the buyer. There is the fear that the salesperson might ask a question which the buyer can't answer and the buyer will lose face. Often, senior people don't have all the details that embarrassment may engender. This may ensure that the salesperson will never do any business with that company ever again. I've directly experienced this myself. We deal with a lot of HR people who are looking for training on behalf of line managers. When I asked the HR team my very first needs-based question, they clearly had no clue. An ominous silence followed, and in Japan, silences, unnervingly, can be very long. Then they suddenly said they wanted my pitch. Actually, all they were doing was collecting the vendor prices. I innocently asked if I could talk directly to the line manager. I was bundled straight out the door. Goodbye to that sale. Number 3, it's too direct. Our sales questions are quite specific. What are your problems? What is not working? Where are you failing? Why aren't you fixing it? Etc. The whole culture here survives through vagueness. Being indirect is a form of polite intercourse. Ambiguous conversation is a well-refined art in Japan. Asking direct, pointed questions upsets the social harmony. So this makes the pitch the better choice. Find out more when we come back from the break. Our show today is brought to you by our public programs, but we also do custom-made in-house classes. Now, we do them in our super safe classroom, we do them live online, and we do them in Japanese, and we do them in English. The show today is being brought to you by our Winning with Relationship Selling program on the 14th of October. Winning with Relationship Selling, keyword there is relationship. Japan is a country where trust is built through relationships. If they don't know you, simple. They don't trust you. They won't buy from you. Until they get to know you, until you build that relationship, you can't build the trust. You don't build the trust, nothing else happens. You've got to know all the sales techniques, prospecting, follow-up, upselling, cross-selling, dealing with rejections, closing the sale, asking questions, first impression, blah, blah, blah. You need all that stuff. But you also need to know how to build that relationship of trust with the buyer so that you are the trusted advisor for them and they feel that you're actually really working hard to help their company be successful. Excellent program, Winning with Relationship Selling. On the 22nd of October, doing our Dale Carnegie course, people skills, absolutely critical. Communication persuasion skills, absolutely critical. You learn to deal with your stress, that's a biggie. Leadership skills, that's important. And also mindset around expanding what's possible for you by coming out of your comfort zone. We often limit ourselves through our fears of failure. Oh, if I fail, it'll be bad if I try that. It's like goal setting. A lot of people don't set any goals because they're worried they might not actually make the goals come true or make them happen. Well, they think, the easiest thing to, having a problem with goal setting is don't set any. It's a bit similar, it's a bit similar around expanding your career horizons, Why not put your hand up for that project? Why not try and step up into a higher position of more authority, more responsibility, more accountability? I read something interesting the other day that for women, they have to be 90% sure they can do the job before they'll put their hand up for the job, whereas men only have to be 60% sure they can do the job before they'll put their hand up. So women are limiting themselves. They've really got a very tight comfort zone. They should open that comfort zone up, challenge, be like the men. Have a go. Try it. Don't be afraid to fail. Go. Try it. So I think this comfort zone expansion is very, very important. I'd say in this particular context, to help women build their careers could be really a turning point. On the 2nd of November, we're doing high-impact presentations. This is all about persuasion power, and it's all about being coached to be persuasive. Tons and tons and tons of one-on-one individual personal coaching in this program. It's incredible. 2 trainers, everything videoed, lots and lots of individual coaching. Incredible. 2 days of individual coaching. It is unbelievable. It is the best. This is the Rolls-Royce of presentation training, and don't you warrant the roller of presentations training? Of course you do. Get onto this program. Check out our website, www.dale-carnegie, carnegie.co.jp. Get my best-selling books, Japan Sales Mastery, which is Zaegyo in Japanese, Japan Business Mastery, and Japan Presentations Mastery. My new book, Stop Wasting Money on Training, in Japanese, Training de okane o muda ni suru no wa yamemashou, is now available on Amazon. In this podcast, I want to help you to survive and even better, thrive in business. If you like learning by watching videos, then we have over 1,000 there for you at Tokyo, Japan, Dale Carnegie TV on YouTube. Welcome back. Number 4. The questions asked may be poor. Asking a potentially dumb question creates fear. It indicates a lack of professionalism or a lesser intellect. You have to know the industry well to hone in on pertinent issues. Failure to ask smart questions says you are clueless and not to be taken seriously. Better to keep that dirty little secret to yourself by pitching and not asking any questions. Number 5, you seem to be stealing secrets. Asking about the current results, the firm's plans, strategies, pricing margins, delivery quantities, activities, average sales per head, etc. is highly confidential. They have only just met you, and you want all of this sensitive information? Number 6, they never think to ask questions. Salespeople think their job is to go through the catalogue or the flyers, etc., explain all of the feature details, and then the client will decide if they are interested. They are here to tell the client everything about the solution and answer any questions they may have. Therefore, according to this logic, there's no need to ask any questions. Doing something different in Japan is greeted with suspicion. If all of your colleagues and bosses are pitchfest acolytes, you need to fit in. Each generation keeps shoveling poor approaches down the line to the next generation. Salespeople are never taught how to ask permission from the buyer to launch forth with their questions. Simply tell God about the results you've produced for other clients and say, maybe we could do the same for you. I'm not sure, but in order for me to know if it is possible or not, may I ask a few questions? So easy. Just try it. In Japan, there is a major imbalance in power between buyer and seller. That is not the way to think about it, though. When you have the cure for cancer, who has the balance of power, the seller or the buyer? We have to think of our business in the same way. We have the business equivalent solution for the cancer impacting the buyer's company. Our job is not to pitch, because that methodology is so inefficient. We're all time poor, so we have to get the solution to the buyer as fast as possible to help them. I would guess there are a lot of pitch people around the world. We don't have much time with buyers, so we all have to make the most of the opportunity and not waste it trialing hit and miss alternatives, hoping we hit gold. Hope is not a strategy. Be a professional. Ask permission to ask questions. Next, find out what they need and then supply it. No pitching required. Thank you for joining the Sales Japan series. If you found the program useful, please work on your karma and share it with your family, friends, and colleagues. Don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast. Immediately apply what you've learned today. Use it and go out there and survive. Remember, I'm your corporate coaching and training guy in your corner, committed to your success here in Nippon.